exposed as to the language as exposed to the language as
Yeah.
what is
without
the
without the as.
Do we have an English teacher here? Anybody? If you want to see more
Videos,
Like and subscribe.
and leave a
comment.
leave a comment and like and subscribe. Hi, I'm Esteban. I'm from Quito, Ecuador, and I'm a Spanish Babbel Life teacher.
Hi, I am Noël. I'm from Frankfurt, Germany, and I'm a German Babbel Life teacher.
Hey, I'm Malcolm. I'm from New York, and I'm a French Babbel Live teacher.
Is grammar really important? I think grammar is important if you like structure while you study. I don't think it's necessary.
I see it more like the base of language learning. You do need some kind of structure. You need to know maybe a little bit like how to conjugate a verb, for example, basic things.
Mm-hmm.
And then from that, you build up your language learning. But I do think maybe like some basic knowledge is needed.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like grammar has a place with learning the building blocks of it, but I think ultimately to practice and really overemphasize grammar can kind of hinder you from practicing the conversation, the interaction part. So grammar has a place for understanding concepts, building from there, but beyond that, I don't think it has the value that most people may think it has.
Learning a language is like learning an instrument, how to play an instrument, because you need this physical ability, you need the practice and all that stuff. So what is more important in music, to learn the rules of music or playing every day and like moving your fingers to learn these things? So yes, there is an importance behind it, but at the end of the day, you just have to make the music, baby. You know what I mean?
Should I focus on speaking or writing?
I'm a little biased because I learned French orally in the beginning. I didn't learn by writing or seeing anything visual related to the language. So for me, maybe it's a tougher way to start the language, but I do think speaking has a much greater impact, at least in the beginning.
I agree. I think because you assimilate things logically, but you need to put it out there. You need to say it out loud, and that muscle memory that you build, it helps so much with learning a language.
Yeah.
So focusing more on speaking gives you a little bit more of a bigger perspective of the language, I think.
I agree at most parts, I guess. Always. I always learn languages to go out there, to meet people, to get to know the culture. So definitely you need to speak for that, obviously. But I mean, there's some learners who maybe don't need that and don't want to learn about that. Like I had students actually who are into philosophy and they only want to be able to learn, like to read German philosophers or people who are translators.
Existential sad people.
Yes,
that
exactly.
Want to learn German
Those
philosophy.
people should only write.
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, there's some people, but generally speaking, I do agree that speaking is the more important part.
I think it goes back to also what type of learner you are. So I think it's a matter of experimenting a little bit on what you receive more. You know.
I like learning languages to make fun of people, so I think for me, speaking would work best. I can't really write jokes, but I can say them. I think it'll work best.
Should I watch shows and listen to music in the language I'm learning? Si. I would say si.
No, si.
Oh, I don't know.
Is that a song?
Is that a song you made up?
I don't know.
No. I'm sure there's a song like that.
You need to be as exposed as possible to the language.
Absolutely.
I will say this. I had a student once who was like, hey, I'm watching all of Disney movies in Spanish, but I'm just like, I'm not connecting with it. And I was like, well, do you like Disney movies? No, I don't like Disney movies. Then what are you doing? So listen to music and watch movies if you like the type of music and the movies that you're watching.
Don't put yourself through that kind of pain. Like if it's a bad show, it's a bad movie, like no matter what language you're speaking or trying to learn, it's not worth it. Just pick something you like.
Have you ever seen a French movie? Oh my God.
Especially music. It's such a big part of the culture. So if you start listening to music of your target language, you get to know the culture also.
Absolutely. The cultural aspect is huge.
Yeah, I think, if you're trying just to learn languages, just watching these movies or listening to music, I don't know if that's going to be super helpful. I think the most helpful thing is just to have like this passive listening and passive a visual aspect of like absorbing the language.
Yeah, it's like an add-on. Like it's not your way to learn language, maybe.
Right.
But it's an extra.
It's the fries to your burger.
Nice, I like that.
The French fries.
Ah, damn. What is the most important skill to develop when learning a new language? I mean, there's so many things that are important, but I think the most important thing is just not being afraid. I know we've mentioned it before, but like the fear of learning a language is like the one thing that will stop you, particularly with interacting with other people.
Yeah.
I think having the right positive mindset when you're trying to speak, letting go of some of that fear can allow you to really like let loose, let the language come to you a lot easier.
It seems like a slow process because there's so many things that you have to kind of get. You have to absorb that information. You have to literally move muscles that you've never moved before in your throat to make sounds that you've never done before, and forget the rules of the language you learned to see the world with. And so there's a lot of opportunities for being frustrated. So dealing with that frustration and being like, it's okay if I make mistakes is like the biggest thing to me. Like being okay with you making mistakes because you will make them. Loving those mistakes, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, enhancing them even. And dealing with miscommunication also, or misunderstandings, which you're going to have culturally, linguistically, in all the ways. And keep learning after that. Like even if you go somewhere, he or she, whoever, doesn't understand you in your target language, it's okay. It's part of the process.
Do I need to attend classes to learn a new language?
The two main things that are beneficial in a class are the habits that it builds and having people to practice with. So if you can cover those two things with, I don't know, say like a product like Babbel, then you're fine.
It also makes it much more fun though, because you're not by yourself, learning alone.
Yeah.
You have people you can relate with. You have the habit. It's easier if there's other people, I guess, because you kind of feel more, not obligated, but more motivated maybe to go. If there's like, if you even make friends with them and then do things afterwards, practice the language afterwards.
Yeah. When you don't have a teacher, I think you can get pretty far, right? Having friends, having people around you, developing consistent habits when you're learning on your own. But having a teacher can sometimes help you figure out, okay, where am I at? What am I most comfortable with? They can give you some maybe outside perspective from a more teacher. They can give you more of a teacher's perspective that you might not have when you're practicing with friends or other speakers.
How can I make learning more fun? Always include your interests in your language learning, because then you don't see it as like something you are having to do right now, but something that's just like a factor in what you would do anyway. So you can connect any of your hobbies, any of your interests, movies, music, whatever, with that language learning process. I think that's optimal.
Your interests are going to determine like how motivated you are. So if there's types of shows, activities that are related around the language you're trying to learn, that's only going to make it more fun. Trying to force yourself to learn something about a language that's not really interesting. Like, I'm not a history person, so I'm particularly not going to watch a history show on French or a different language, you know?
There's also the chance for you to vary the way you are exposed to that language, like trying different things, trying games, trying podcasts, trying an app, just finding ways to change those habits. Having it regularly, but changing it keeps it a little bit fun and interesting.
Fresh,
How do I start learning a language?
I think first of all, you gotta know why you want to learn the language. I think having a core motivation is nice. I think sometimes starting to learn a language without figuring out why you want to learn it can make it tricky to kind of keep up with it, because then you might lose interest after a while.
I think if you just have some interest, learning a new language starts with just learning to say, how are you? What are you doing today? So I don't think I need like the complete motivation there to learn that if I just have that little interest, because I met a Polish person and I'm just asking, that's already language learning. But obviously if you then want to proceed it more and get more efficient in it, you kind of need to know you go. But I think it's just getting out there, doing it.
I think that goes beyond the basics. I think it's a matter of like, how do I talk about myself? The first things you learn are your name, how old are you, where are you from, where do you live, etc. And those things say so much about yourself. It's a great way to present yourself to other people. So those basics kind of put into perspective the most important thing about language, which is talk to other people, find the things about you that you want to say, learn how to use the language to reflect what you are, and find people and practice it. So basically we're saying, jump in the pool, learn the language.
Yeah.
Without the swim trunk.
Without
which
the
is
swim
the language.
trunk. Is that? Oh yeah, yeah. Right. Okay. We're taking the metaphor a
But
little
don't
bit
eat
too
before
far.
you go in the pool, right? You can't do that.
Don't eat before the. Don't think to. No, there are no
that
rules.
true?
Just jump.